Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And tonight was night 2. It was the last night of the 2020 WWE Draft, which we saw took place on SmackDown on Friday, which was night 1. Tonight was the last night for the draft. And in my opinion, the 2020 WWE Draft was just complete shit. It was predictable. Nothing has changed within these rosters with Raw and SmackDown. You know, some superstars are staying in place to where they were at. So, except for a little few changes here and there, but that's not going to do anything for both brands. But before I get to the review, want to let you all know that Thursday is my birthday, turned 29, and if you guys want to drop early birthday comment in the comments down below, that's fine. I will thank you all for it. May do a birthday stream on Thursday, so just talk about some stuff, maybe do the DVD, Blu-ray, 4K update just in that video. Haven't gotten to watch any of them, but I'll show them off and then, talk about some other stuff. So Thursday, little birthday stream. So that's coming up. And also, I want to talk about there was the draft continued on Saturday during Talking Smack, which who watches Talking Smack? Highly doubt anybody. But they did announce 5 superstars that were drafted to Raw and SmackDown. So these were the 5 superstars that were drafted to Raw and SmackDown that they announced on Talking Smack. So Humberto Carrillo is going to be on Monday Night Raw. So he's staying on Monday Night Raw. Okay. Buddy Murphy is drafted to SmackDown. So of course, we're going to get, Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy going there on SmackDown. And we also have Tucker drafted to Monday Night Raw. So Heavy Machinery is now split up. So, but Otis is on SmackDown. Tucker's going to be on Monday Night Raw. And Tucker, as a singles competitor, I think he's much better with Otis. I think Tucker is not going to thrive as a singles competitor, in my opinion. But he's much better. He's better with Otis. So, and then we have Kalisto on SmackDown, drafted to SmackDown. So Kalisto is staying there on SmackDown. And then Drew Gulak on Monday Night Raw. He's staying on Monday Night Raw. So there you go. And then they drafted a few more. I think it was during the, if I could find it here, that were drafted on the draft watch along, which happened on the WWE Network. If I could find it here. So I'm on WWE.com. So let me see if they have it. Is this it? Oh yeah. These I found it here. So these were the 2. Well, actually, 3 draftees that they announced on the draft watch along on the WWE Network. So Monday Night Raw got Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado. So the Lucha House Party has broken up. So there you go. I'm like, thank God. And then SmackDown has Chad Gable. So Chad Gable is staying on SmackDown. So those were the superstars that they announced on the Draft exclusive on the WWE Network, the Draft Watch Along. So that's that. And they also they announced on Raw Talk, which I think ended already on the WWE Network, because I'm doing this at 11:43. Usually, Raw Talk airs after Monday Night Raw on the network. And they announced 5 superstars drafted to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. So these were the superstars that got drafted that they announced on Raw Talk. Raw got Lana, so Lana is staying on Monday Night Raw. Natalya is going to SmackDown. Riddick Moss is staying on Monday Night Raw. The Riot Squad, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, drafted to SmackDown. And Monday Night Raw got Arturo Ruas. He was in Raw Failure Ground, Raw Underground. So those were the 5 superstars that were announced during Raw Talk that were drafted to Raw and SmackDown. So that's all the draft news. Now, gonna start with the review. So Monday Night Raw opened up with Randy Orton. Orton ended up coming out. He ended up saying that one thing remains the same, and that if he gets drafted to SmackDown or not, it's the fact that he will take the WWE Championship from Drew McIntyre inside Hell in a Cell. Orton went on to say that 2020 has been a lot, but one thing you can't dispute is that this has been the year of Drew McIntyre. So he ended up saying that Drew McIntyre has become the main face of the company, and he was naming some of McIntyre's accomplishments that we saw this year. Orton ended up recalling how he's the only person to pin Drew McIntyre this year. And he ended up saying that that's a sign of things to come. Orton ended up saying that he promises to pin McIntyre again and take the WWE Championship from him at Hell in a Cell in 2 weeks. He ended up saying that he will do all that by hitting him with the 3 most dangerous letters in sports entertainment. And that is the R, K. And then when he was trying to say O, he got interrupted by Drew McIntyre. So McIntyre ended up coming out, and he was standing on the stage. McIntyre ended up saying that Orton is right, and then McIntyre ended up congratulating him on being the only person to pin him in almost a year. McIntyre went on and reminded Orton how he promised to kick the crap out of him the next time that they were in the same building. McIntyre says he wouldn't want to break that promise. So then McIntyre ended up coming to the ring, and a brawl broke out between McIntyre and Orton. We had Orton end up rolling out to the floor. McIntyre ended up ramming Orton into the ring apron. McIntyre then whipped Orton into the barricade. and then into the ring post, and then he drove Orton into the announce table, and pretty much that was basically that. That was basically what happened. Orton was back in the ring, rolled out of the ring. McIntyre was in the ring, and that was basically what happened. But it's the same old thing. Same old shit that Randy Orton does. He comes out every week. I'm going to beat Drew McIntyre. I want to take the WWE Championship away from him. Same thing. Same rinse and repeat promo that Orton always delivers. So then we had Stephanie McMahon come out. She was on stage, of course. We saw the podium from Friday night, the podium for the draft. And Stephanie welcomed us to the final night of the draft. She ended up announcing the picks for the first round of the draft. She ended up announcing that The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, is coming to Monday Night Raw. And I knew that was going to happen. I'm like, since he beat Kevin Owens on Friday, I'm like, yeah, The Fiend's definitely going to Monday Night Raw. So, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, is Alexa Bliss going to be drafted? We'll have to wait and find out. So I'll get to that. But it's obviously predictable. So then Stephanie ended up announcing that Bayley is going to be staying on SmackDown. Of course, she's a SmackDown Women's Champion. She is over 365 days as the SmackDown Women's Champion. She's been champion for a year. So that's awesome. So then Stephanie announced that Randy Orton will be staying on Monday Night Raw. So not surprised by that. She ended up saying that the Street Profits are going to be drafted to SmackDown, which I called. Me and you guys knew that when they drafted the New Day, that the Street Profits were going to be going to SmackDown. So, and then later on we had a New Day and the Street Profits thing where they were backstage, which I'll get to, which I thought it was stupid how WWE did this. So we didn't have a unification of the tag team titles, of the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles, which they should have did. That's like the best way to go with the tag team titles, but WWE did not do that. So they took the stupid way out, which I'll get to. And then Stephanie announced that Charlotte Flair, is going to be staying on Monday Night Raw. I am not surprised. So by this whole first round, it brings no surprise to me about these results for the first round of the draft. And then we had Kevin Owens versus Aleister Black. No disqualification match. This was a pretty decent match. I really like this match between Owens and Aleister Black, even though we've seen them go at it times. But you had Aleister Black and Kevin Owens brawling outside of the ring. Aleister Black ended up delivering kicks to Owens on the outside. Aleister Black ended up dropping Kevin Owens with a roundhouse kick. We had Kevin Owens end up going on top of the barricade, and it looked like he was going to drive Aleister Black through the table, but Aleister Black ended up taking Kevin Owens and launched Owens right through the announce table, which the table didn't break, so Owens went back first on the announce table. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, we had Kevin Owens. He ended up trying to block a suplex that Aleister Black was going to deliver onto the chair that was in the middle of the ring. Aleister Black ended up sending Kevin Owens face first into the chair that was set up in the middle of the ring. Owens ended up kicking out. And we saw Kevin Owens later on. He ended up standing 4 chairs facing each other on the side of the ring. And he ended up trying to suplex Aleister Black from the second turnbuckle onto the 4 chairs that were set up. Aleister Black ended up fighting back Kevin Owens. And we had Aleister Black end up knocking Kevin Owens down. Aleister Black then nailed a double knee strike to Kevin Owens, which crushed Kevin Owens onto the 4 chairs. So Black went for the cover. Owens kicked out at 2. And Aleister Black went back outside of the ring. He ended up bringing the table in the ring. And he ended up standing it up. And Kevin Owens ended up going outside the ring. Black tried to deliver the Black Mass, but it got blocked. And we had Kevin Owens back in the ring with Aleister Black. Kevin Owens ended up nailing the stunner to Black. And then Owens ended up delivering the powerbomb through the table to Aleister Black. Kevin Owens went for the cover, and there you go. Kevin Owens ended up winning the no disqualification match. But overall, decent match. Wasn't bad by any means. Had a little fun with it. And then we had Stephanie McMahon come back out on the stage. She ended up introducing the second round for the draft. She ended up announcing that Braun Strowman has been drafted to Monday Night Raw. So there you go. Braun Strowman drafted to Raw. She ended up announcing that Daniel Bryan is going to be staying on SmackDown. Matt Riddle. She ended up announcing Matt Riddle is drafted to Monday Night Raw from SmackDown. And I know the reason why that happened. Apparently, I was watching JD from New York 206's video, his off the script from yesterday. And he was saying that Matt Riddle had heat with Seth Rollins. So apparently, I think this is why WWE did this, for Matt Riddle to get away from Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins is on SmackDown. Matt Riddle was on SmackDown. So I think that's the only reason why they drafted Matt Riddle to Monday Night Raw. Then Stephanie ended up announcing that Kevin Owens is drafted to SmackDown. So I'll get to that later on. So, but because someone else gets drafted to SmackDown. So she ended up announcing that Kevin Owens was drafted to SmackDown. And then the final draft in the second round, she announced that Jeff Hardy was drafted to Monday Night Raw. So there you go. That's your second round for the draft right on Monday Night Raw tonight. So that was that. So then we had Miz TV. John Morrison and The Miz were in the ring. Of course, they were drafted from SmackDown to Monday Night Raw. And I have to say, the only reason why The Miz and John Morrison got drafted is because USA Network loves The Miz. I mean, The Miz is on Monday Night Raw now, which is on USA. The Miz and Mrs., that's on USA, which has The Miz in it, of course. And then The Miz does the game show, Cannonball, also on USA. So there you go. That proves USA loves The Miz. That's the reason why they wanted The Miz on Monday Night Raw. So, but this whole segment was awful. Which they were in the ring. They made some jokes about the draft. They brought out their guests, who were Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. So there was tension between Mandy Rose and The Miz because of the things that The Miz did with Otis. So The Miz then ended up asking Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose about going for the women's tag team titles. And he ended up saying, oh, yeah, you guys are going to be competing in the number one contender battle royal, the dual brand women's battle royal, which whoever won gets to face Asuka next week for the Raw Women's Championship. So Mandy Rose ended up saying, may the best woman win tonight in the battle royal. So then out came Natalya and Lana. So Natalya and Lana ended up talking about why that they should be interviewed and not Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. So we had Dana Brooke end up telling Natalya and Lana to focus more on training instead of, being on TikTok, doing TikTok videos. And maybe they could win a match. So a brawl broke out between Natalya, Lana, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke. Lana ended up getting dumped out to the floor. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke ended up taking out Natalya. And Natalya then got sent out to the floor. And that was that. Monday Night Raw went to commercial. But just awful segment this was. And then Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial. And Miz TV was still going on. The Miz and John Morrison were still in the ring. And The Miz ended up introducing a new guest for Miz TV. And that was his partner, John Morrison. So they end up talking about what they're going to do on Monday Night Raw. And then they got interrupted by Lars Sullivan. Lars Sullivan ended up coming out. And The Miz ended up getting out of the ring. Lars Sullivan ended up being down on John Morrison. Miz ended up trying to pull Morrison out of the ring, just like, Morrison did to The Miz Friday on SmackDown, where Lars Sullivan ended up taking out The Miz with the freak accident. So, instead of The Miz, John Morrison got beat down by Lars Sullivan. So Lars Sullivan ended up delivering the freak accident to John Morrison. And that was basically that. And then we had Adam Pearce backstage with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. The SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, the Raw Tag Team Champions. And Adam Pearce ended up authorizing a title switch, meaning the New Day gives the Street Profits the SmackDown Tag Team titles. The Street Profits give the New Day the Raw Tag Team titles. And instead of WWE unifying both the SmackDown and Raw Tag Team titles, instead of unifying them, they just make the Street Profits and the New Day switch the titles. It's like, oh yeah, give me the New Day are like, oh yeah, give us the Raw tag team titles and we'll give you the SmackDown tag team titles. It's like a person saying, oh yeah, I'll trade you my Butterfinger for your M&Ms, or I'll trade you my Coca-Cola for my Pepsi, and then they just give it to them. How stupid! How stupid with the titles here. They should have just unified both the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles. And then they do that shit. We're just, oh yeah, here. We'll take the SmackDown tag team titles, the Street Profits, and we'll give you the Raw tag team titles to the New Day. It's unbelievable. And then they switch the titles, of course. Roode and Dolph Ziggler end up walking up, and they want a shot at the Raw tag team titles. So they end up having a match later on. But how stupid is that, though? Like I said, instead of WWE unifying both the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles, they do that shit. It's like 7-year-old kids saying, I'll trade you this for my Matchbox car for a Hot Wheels car, and then they do it. Oh man, yeah, and WWE Creative don't even see that unifying both the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles are a good thing, because they could merge the tag team divisions. And they don't see it. If I was booking this show, I would unify the tag team division and unify both the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles. And then we went to Stephanie McMahon. She came back out for the third round of the draft, and she ended up announcing that Retribution are going to be staying on Monday Night Raw. So there you go, Retribution staying on Monday Night Raw. She then announced after that Lars Sullivan is going to be on SmackDown, is drafted to SmackDown. So Lars Sullivan going to be a beast on Friday nights. She ended up announcing that Keith Lee is going to be staying on Monday Night Raw. Now, to me, I think Keith Lee should have moved to SmackDown, and that's just my opinion. I think on SmackDown there's a little bit more superstars that he could take on. And then she announced that Corbin's staying on SmackDown. Who gives a shit? And then she ended up announcing that the last draft pick in the third round is Alexa Bliss, of course, because the Fiend Bray Wyatt got drafted in the first round. He was the first draft pick in the first round. So it makes sense, which was obviously predictable. We knew that if the Fiend was being drafted to Raw, Alexa Bliss was going to go either way. Was going to go to Monday Night Raw either way. And then we had Seth Rollins come out for his farewell address for Monday Night Raw, because he was drafted to SmackDown. Rollins ended up saying that he just wants to soak it all in for a minute. He ended up announcing that tonight is the end of an era. He ended up saying that he's thrilled to take his talent to Friday night, but he has to acknowledge how different of a moment this is for all the fans of Monday Night Raw. Rollins ended up talking about how Raw is losing the champion and the best leader they've ever had. He wanted to say that there is no one to fill his shoes, especially not Dominic and Rey Mysterio. Rollins ended up going on about how his run on Monday Night Raw, and out came Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy ended up interrupting Seth Rollins. Rollins ended up saying that he appreciates Jeff Hardy's enthusiasm, but he was trying to find a leader. And Rollins ended up saying Jeff Hardy is not that leader. Seth then ended up asking Jeff Hardy to get out of the ring. Jeff Hardy got on the mic, and he went on about how this is his ring now. Rollins ended up saying that Jeff should be focused on his match with Lars Sullivan on Friday. So Seth ended up wishing Jeff Hardy good luck, and he ended up saying that Jeff Hardy is going to need it against Lars Sullivan. So Rollins got out of the ring. Jeff Hardy was still in the ring. AJ Styles ended up coming out. So Styles got on the mic, and he ended up addressing Jeff Hardy. And then we saw a brawl broke out between Styles, Hardy, and Seth Rollins. Jeff Hardy ended up hitting the Poetry in Motion on Seth Rollins against the barricade. Jeff Hardy then ended up taking out Styles on the floor. Jeff Hardy then got in the ring, and he ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up reminding Styles that they still have unfinished business. So Jeff Hardy ended up saying, let's have a triple threat match. So they had that. So when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had the triple threat match. Seth Rollins versus Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles, which was a decent match. Wasn't a bad match by any means. You had Styles end up sent into the corner. Seth Rollins and Jeff Hardy were going at it. Jeff Hardy ended up clotheslining Seth Rollins over the top rope. Seth Rollins went out to the floor. So Styles ended up working on Jeff Hardy in the corner. And Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles were going back and forth. Jeff Hardy delivered a sling blade to Styles, went for a pin. Styles ended up kicking out. And you had Rollins again sent out of the ring again. Styles ended up using the middle rope on Jeff Hardy. Styles ended up dropping some strikes on Jeff Hardy in the middle of the ring. Ended up going for a 2 count. Hardy ended up kicking out. And at the end of the match, you had Styles end up grabbing Jeff Hardy for a Styles clash. Jeff Hardy ended up reversing it. Ended up reversing the Styles clash and delivered the twist of fate to Styles. And then we see the return of Elias. Elias ended up appearing. And he smashed the guitar over Jeff Hardy's back. And Styles ended up going for the pin on Jeff Hardy. So there you go. Styles ended up winning the match, thanks to the return of Elias. But overall, it was a decent match. It was a decent triple threat match. And Elias being back, I don't even care. I don't give a shit. So we had at post-match, Elias was just taunting Jeff Hardy from the ramp. And that was that. So then after that, Stephanie McMahon came out with the 4th round of the draft. So she ended up announcing that Elias is drafted to Monday Night Raw. Oh, goody. Oh, goody. Like, I am excited. Yeah, okay. She ended up announcing that Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, is staying on SmackDown. I ain't surprised by that. She ended up saying that Lacey Evans is drafted to Monday Night Raw from SmackDown. So Lacey Evans is part of the Monday Night Raw women's division. And then Stephanie announced that Shinsuke Nakamura, and Cesaro are going to be staying on SmackDown. Yeah, this is some good draft this year. Yeah. Awful. This draft this year was fucking terrible. Same shit like they did last year, which last year's draft was terrible also. So she then announced the final pick in the 4th round of the draft. She ended up announcing that Sheamus is being drafted to Monday Night Raw. So, there you go. Those are all the superstars drafted in the 4th round. And then we had Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose versus Natalya and Lana. This match was awful. Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose end up winning. You had Dana Brooke coming off the top, end up taking out Lana. There you go. Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose end up winning the match. Post-match, Natalya and Lana were in the ring. Natalya ended up telling Lana that she's done because it isn't working out between them. Of course, Natalya got drafted to SmackDown. So Natalya ended up exiting the ring. Lana starts to cry. Whatever. MVP was backstage, of course, with the Hurt Business. MVP ended up mentioning how Retribution isn't here. Ricochet then ended up approaching the Hurt Business, and Ricochet ended up saying that it looks like he might be on Monday Night Raw alone, and that he wants one more match. Ricochet ended up saying that it's not good for their business or his business to keep going after each other every week. Ricochet ended up saying that if he wins the match against Cedric Alexander and against or any member of the Hurt Business, the feud is done and they go their separate ways. Ricochet then ended up saying that if he loses the match, he will join the Hurt Business. So, it looks like we had Ricochet versus Cedric Alexander, which happened later on in the night. Then we had Angel Garza versus Andrade. This was a short match. Zelina Vega was on commentary during this match. Zelina Vega on commentary, she commented on giving up on Angel Garza. So Andrade made his way out, and the match got underway. Andrade ended up delivering a suplex to Garza to break out of a headlock. We had Andrade, mounting Garza with punches and strikes. And Zelina Vega on commentary, she also stated that she is here for managerial contract obligations. And she ended up announcing that after tonight, she is done with Garza and Andrade. And, it's going to be very weird with Andrade coming out and Zelina Vega, not being by Andrade's side. Because, when you had Zelina Vega with Andrade, they work together. Zelina and Andrade worked together way before Garza was even with them. So, but I love the pairing between Andrade and Zelina. It's just stupid how they have to have Zelina get away from Andrade. I mean, just eliminate Garza and go back to having Zelina manage Andrade. Just like how it always was, even when they were in NXT. When they were in NXT, Zelina Vega managed Andrade, and look how that worked out. Look, they have a pairing. They worked well together. But Garza ended up winning the match, delivered the wing clipper to Andrade, and that was that. Post-match, Zelina Vega got into the ring to check on Andrade, and the lights go out in the Amway Center, or in the Thunderdome. So the red lights come on. And of course, the red lights, the Virtual Boy on. And we hear the sounds of The Fiend. But The Fiend wasn't out there at first. Alexa Bliss ended up appearing in the corner. And she was turned upside down. Like Bray Wyatt. Like how Bray Wyatt does. When Bray Wyatt's in the corner. And, he's turned upside down. So Zelina Vega and Andrade, were in there shocked. And so the camera cuts back and we see The Fiend appear behind Andrade. So The Fiend ended up grabbing Andrade. And Alexa Bliss ended up grabbing Zelina Vega. And we had Alexa Bliss and The Fiend. They both stared at each other. And they ended up dropping Sister Abigail's. The Fiend ended up dropping Sister Abigail to Andrade. Alexa did it to Zelina Vega. They did it at the same time. And Alexa Bliss and The Fiend stared each other down. And pretty much that was basically that. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. But I thought this was pretty cool. I think we're gonna see Andrade and Zelina Vega, team up and maybe take on The Fiend and Alexa Bliss down the line. We could be getting that. And thinking about it, The Fiend being on Monday Night Raw gets him away from Roman Reigns, which that's a good thing. I like that move. How they bring The Fiend, how they brought The Fiend to Monday Night Raw as the first pick in the first round. That's in my opinion a good move on WWE's part because, like I said, it gets him away from Roman Reigns. If we had The Fiend versus Roman Reigns, then The Fiend would be buried even more. So after the debacle that we saw last year in the Hell in a Cell match with The Fiend and Seth Rollins, thank God that The Fiend is away from Roman Reigns. So then we had Stephanie McMahon come out for the fifth round of the draft. So she came out. She ended up announcing that Nikki Cross was drafted to Monday Night Raw from SmackDown. So Nikki Cross is officially part of the Monday Night Raw Women's Division. She then ended up announcing that Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode are being drafted to SmackDown. She announced that R-Truth is going to be staying on Monday Night Raw, so Apparently, we're still going to be getting this Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title still on TV, still on Monday Night Raw. Great, I'm looking forward to more of that. Yeah. That garbage-ass title. She then announced that Apollo Crews is going to SmackDown. And the final pick that she ended up announcing in the 5th round for Monday Night Raw is Dabba-Kato. Yes, Dabba-Kato, who competed on Raw Underground. Raw Fairground is what I call it. So yeah, so Dabba-Kato is going to be on Monday Night Raw. But, it's not going to be on Raw Underground because apparently it looks, from the looks of it, Raw Underground, Raw Fairground is no more. And that's a good thing because it was a failure. Nobody cared for it. So there you go. Those are all the superstar draftees in the 5th round. So then we had Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler versus the New Day for the Raw Tag Team titles. This was an okay match, but in the end, it was predictable. We all knew who was going to win the match. So the New Day ended up winning the match. Xavier Woods, of course, once again showed no signs of ring rust in this match. He did pretty good here. And Xavier Woods ended up holding Robert Roode down. This was at the end of the match. And Kofi ended up going to the top. And he leapt off. And he delivered the Midnight Hour. They both delivered the Midnight Hour onto Robert Roode. Went for the cover. There you go. The New Day end up winning the match, retaining the Raw Tag Team titles. Obvious they were winning because Roode and Dolph got drafted to SmackDown. So that was that. But overall, it was an okay match. So then we saw Charlie Caruso backstage. She was interviewing Elias on him returning tonight. So Elias ended up joking about his new song and album. He also went on to say about how he got payback on Jeff Hardy. He ended up recalling the car accident that happened on SmackDown. And he ended up saying that it wasn't his time to go give a concert to the big man in the sky. So Elias then ended up announcing that his new album called Universal Truth is coming out on October 26th. And obviously, I don't care. Who gives a shit? Elias ended up announcing that he will celebrate his return next week with a concert. He ended up saying that it will be unforgettable, especially for Jeff Hardy. Well, I'll probably want to forget about it. I'll have my TV on mute when that happens. I don't give a shit. So then we had Ricochet versus Cedric Alexander. We've seen this many times before, and we end up seeing at the end of the match, MVP ended up sliding a chair in the ring. He was going to give it to Cedric. Ricochet ended up grabbing the chair, and he stands up with the chair. The referee was down because Ricochet ended up kicking Cedric in the head, and Cedric came right back with a Michinoku driver, which the referee got dropped. So the referee ended up slowly getting up. Cedric wanted Ricochet to swing the chair. Ricochet ended up, swinging the chair to the mat, thinking that Cedric Alexander hit him with the chair. Ricochet then tossed the chair to Cedric. Cedric ended up catching it. And then Ricochet ends up, falling down. He pulls a Eddie Guerrero, which that was cool. That was very funny. So the referee ends up seeing Cedric with the chair. Referee ended up calling for the match. And Ricochet ended up winning by disqualification. But that was really cool. Ricochet pulling a Eddie Guerrero. I used to love when Eddie would do that. It would be so funny. Whenever Eddie back in the day, did that. But the Hurt Business end up getting in the ring. So because of Ricochet winning by disqualification, the Hurt Business can no longer have any deals made with Ricochet. So that was that. So then Stephanie McMahon came out for the final round of the draft. This was the sixth round of the draft. So Stephanie announced that Tice O'Neil is going to be staying on Monday Night Raw. Well, Tice O'Neil staying on Raw? Who cares? Tice O'Neil is hardly ever used. She ended up announcing that Carmella is going to be staying on SmackDown. Payne Royce, she announced that is going to be staying on Monday Night Raw. And then this was how could you possibly draft this guy in the final round? He should have been drafted in the first round. She then announced that Aleister Black is going to be drafted to SmackDown. So there you go. Aleister Black being drafted to SmackDown. We're going to get 5-10 more matches with him and Kevin Owens. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to them. So, it's a disgrace how you have Aleister Black drafted in the final round. This is a guy who should have been drafted in the first round, or hell, even the second round. This proves exactly how WWE feels about Aleister Black. And then the last draftee in the final round that Stephanie announced, Akira Tozawa and his Foot Clan of Ninjas is going to be staying on Monday Night Raw. Who cares? Who cares that Akira Tozawa is going to be staying on Monday Night Raw? There you go. We're going to get more circus stuff with Akira Tozawa, R-Truth, with the stupid 24/7 title. There you go. This draft this year sucks. So then we had the main event, the dual brand Women's Battle Royal, to determine who will face Asuka next week for the Raw Women's Championship. So it was Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Lana, Natalya, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, Bianca Belair, Billie Kay, Payne Royce, Tamina was in there, Lacey Evans, and Nikki Cross. So those were all the women who were in the Battle Royal. There was even talks of Eva Marie showing up on Monday Night Raw tonight. And thank God, she was not on tonight. Who wants to see Eva Marie back in WWE? Who wants to see Eva Marie? I know I don't. She was horrible in the ring. She couldn't even wrestle. But we had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler come out first. And Nia Jax ended up getting on the mic. She ended up saying that it's clear she or Shayna Baszler will win this Battle Royal. So she ended up saying, why don't the other women eliminate themselves? So the bell ended up ringing. Everyone and all the women ended up attacking Baszler and Nia Jax. Lana ended up getting dropped by Nia Jax once again, except it wasn't through the announce table. So then we had Tamina end up staring down Nia Jax, and they end up double teaming on Lana. So then we saw backstage as this battle royal was going on. Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton were going at it. We had Drew McIntyre yelling in Randy Orton's face, and we also saw more of the Women's Battle Royal because after Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton were going at it backstage, Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, we saw Nikki Cross was taking out Lacey Evans, and Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan were taking down Shayna Baszler. Lacey Evans ended up eliminating Nikki Cross with the woman's right off of the ring apron. And it came down to Natalya, Liv Morgan, and Ruby Riott, and also Lacey Evans. So the Riott Squad, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan ended up getting eliminated at the same time by Lacey Evans and Natalya. And so then it was just Lacey Evans and Natalya in the ring. Asuka was watching from backstage now. And Natalya ended up catching Lacey Evans, and she ended up launching her into the ring post to try to eliminate Lacey Evans. And we had Lacey Evans get eliminated. Natalya thought that she won the Battle Royal. She was celebrating on the ring apron. But then it turns out Lana came from behind. And Lana wasn't eliminated here. She wasn't eliminated in the Battle Royal. So she was still in the Battle Royal. Lana came from behind. Lana ended up kicking Natalya to the floor. And there you go. Lana ended up winning this Battle Royal, becoming the number one contender to face Asuka next week for the Raw Women's Championship. Oh, man. Lana wins, and she gets to face Asuka next week for the Raw Women's Championship. Oh, my God. Asuka, please just retain your title next week. Get it over with. Pin Lana and retain the Raw Women's Championship. There you go. Oh, man. Asuka's going to retain the Raw Women's Championship next week. Lana being the Raw Women's Champion come next week. Yeah. Whoever thinks that, I laugh. I laugh at you. We all know Asuka's going to retain next week. So, like I said, Asuka, please win next week. Retain your title. I mean, I can't believe it. Lana winning the Battle Royal. Unbelievable. Then we saw McIntyre and Randy Orton. They were still brawling. They brawled out onto the floor. They brawled at their ringside area. We had officials end up rushing to separate the both of them. And then we had, I think it was Byron Saxton on commentary say, "Oh, I can't wait for this match. I cannot wait for this match at Hell in a Cell." I'm like, you can't wait for this match? How many times have you seen it with McIntyre and Orton? So, McIntyre and Orton were separated, and Monday Night Raw went off the air. So, but overall, Monday Night Raw tonight was just a very meh show, in my opinion. Wasn't terrible. Didn't hate it. So it just came off as meh. And this year's draft as a whole was fucking terrible. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until next video, which I may do a Q&A video. Probably during the birthday stream. I'll just do a video tomorrow, and you could post your questions in the comments, in that video in the Q&A when it's uploaded tomorrow, and I'll get to your Q&As in the stream, in the birthday stream. I might do it, I'll do a live stream on my birthday. But yes, anyways, thank you all for watching. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until the little Q&A video where you can post your questions in the comments, in the video tomorrow. So until then, see you all later.